I'm Muriel, CEO, mum, and educator. I used to work really hard and sacrificed important things to me until I lost my motivation. Fast forward past many failed attempts and lessons learned, and I found a way to reach great results while working less. Today, I'm obsessed with helping other leaders build meaningful lives. So each week, I'll be sharing inspiration to change your life and organization. This is Rebel Leader with a Heart. Hello, Anouk. Nice to meet you.
Hello, Muriel. Thank you for hosting me today.
You're welcome. I was looking forward to this interview because you seem to be a great CEO. You won with your company. You won the Greatest Place to Work award. You wrote an article about love at work, and you seem to really embrace it and embody the word. Not only use it, because I've met other leaders who also use words like love, but it's not really authentic. And with you, I could feel it's authentic. So I really wanted to do this podcast with you.
Well, thank you so much for the honor and the pleasure.
Yeah. So maybe you can tell us a little bit who you are and what you do for work, and a little bit also how you got there.
Okay. So I'm a mom of 3 beautiful children. I am a wife of a fantastic husband. And indeed, I am also a CEO of the Greatest Place to Work in Belgium, voted last year, which is Accent. So it's a talent placement company where it's all about people and unlocking the potential of people. And how did I get there? Well, I started my career as an engineer, a business engineer. So I started at Unilever, then Coca-Cola, and then Duvel Moortgat. So these were really high passionate companies with a huge amount of love for the product. And subconsciously, I've chosen these. I've been attracted to them and they came onto my path. And now I'm actually at Accent, and I am discovering what makes this place so great. And it's actually the love for people. So which is just tremendous. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you say the love to people, how do you bring that love to your people?
Well, I don't actually. It is there. It's in the DNA of the company. Forever since the start, 26 years ago. It was always with passion and with love for people, that Connie van den Driessen and Philippe Craco have started this mission. And so it is very much ingrained in everyday things. So I just try to cultivate it and try to protect it because it's so precious and so special. But I see myself more as a gardener than a CEO. So I actually, look at it as an environment, and I need to keep it healthy, so that people can thrive. Right people need right challenges, right opportunities. Some need more sun, some need more vitamins, some need shade. One of my key responsibilities is keeping the environment just super healthy and with a lot of love.
Yeah, I love that you look at it this way, because I believe that's the clue to create an environment that is healthy and where people blossom.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of focusing directly on the symptoms or on things, it's really about creating this environment.
Exactly.
And so I'm also curious then, how do you deal? Because in that environment, not everything goes well all the time.
No, of course not. We're all human beings.
Yes, you probably face a lot of challenges as well.
Yeah.
And so that's not always easy. So how do you deal with those challenging situations with love?
Yeah. Well, I guess it's always, trying to remain centered yourself as a person. So even though the situation might be very challenging, try to just keep calm, breathe, and keep perspective. So, but more importantly, it's also ask your question why. If you ask why is this happening, what? So not the what's and not how much and not, but why. If you focus on the why, you look through different lenses and you look with perspective into the situation, as opposed to being stuck onto the roller coaster. Try to step back and look at the roller coaster with perspective. And well, from time to time, I don't have the perspective either. I'm also just human. And what I try to do then is to surround me with some people who can bring different perspectives. So typically it would be my management team. This is happening. I don't have the truth or the only truth. It's very much also, okay, how can I leverage the collective genius to deal with the situation? And the more diverse your team is, and I mean diverse in thinking, yes, it can be diverse, of course, in color and age and shape, and but I mean the most important thing is you have diversity in thinking. So everyone looks from a very different perspective to the same situation, and that helps me, to if I have lost perspective or I can't look at it with clarity because I'm too much into it as well. Yeah, I really challenge myself, and I love to be challenged by them as well, to look at things in a different way. And if it's not my team, it would be my children potentially, or my husband. So they're very much a mirror. They're so blunt, brutally honest. And that helps to keep me centered as well, because sometimes I might start to fly, or but that helps to keep me balanced, or look at it from a different perspective.
Yeah, I love that you say, well, the first thing I do is that I center, I breathe, so that you don't react with your conditioned behaviors or from a place of fear. No. So that's really so important, because that's what I miss often with leaders, is they think in fast times we have to go faster and faster all the time, and they forget to just center, breathe, pause, ask themselves why, and then you can accelerate again. But but I was wondering then, how do you cascade this within the organization? Because you worked on this probably to get to that stage, but I can guess that not everyone is like that. You might still have a lot of people who react. So how do you help them?
Well, first of all, you just try to lead by example. Just by doing it yourself and practicing it yourself, you give the example, or you give inspiration, or you show them the tools, how they can potentially deal with that as well. So one is to live it by yourself. But again, the most important thing is that there is no fear. When there is fear, and actually the presence of love is the absence of fear, or or vice versa. So when there is no fear, it's not about judgment. It's not about one truth. You're open for different perspectives. You're open for failure, So, and so that's something very important that, again, was already present in the company, but that I'm continuously cultivating. And so actually, as an example, bottom up instead of top down, bottom up, every starter at Accent, so every new employee needs to sign a document, that it's okay that you will try new things and fail, and not feel guilty about it. So it's very much a license to fail. Yeah. And it's a contract that we really embrace, that people try, because, if you don't take risks, you will never gain more. You will never pioneer if you don't do that. So it's very much into the culture that we create an atmosphere of potential and no fear, and actually also, of course, a lot of love.
Yeah.
So one of our 3 values is be a friend, but it's a big promise. Be a friend. It's be a friend towards our clients. So our clients that are looking for candidates, but we truly want to see them as friends, and we help them in the good and the bad times as much as we would do for a friend. And the same applies for candidates. So nobody is a number. We know them. We engage deeply with them, and we promise to treat them in the best possible way so they get the best contract, the best environment to work, etc. And then, of course, our own colleagues, our own accenters, we are there for each other and as a friend. And actually, if they don't behave that way, you also need to be strict about that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just rosy and tell what you are, but you don't hang this on a wallpaper, but you need to live through it.
Yeah.
And if you see that it's not lived by, you really need to step in. And so that's where you need to reprimand and say, okay, sorry, this is not the behavior we want, or we've signed up for together. So you very much align on culture, so we hire for values and we train for skills.
Yeah, that's also wonderful.
But that's very much the case. And again, that was already in the DNA. So
yeah,
that's not my contribution. I keep to cultivate it and be careful to maintain it and improve it, even if I can. That's pretty much the essence.
I would even go a step further and say, be a friend to yourself and talk to yourself as if it was a friend talking to yourself.
That is so true. We so underestimate that so many people have a little devil in the head that is ruining so many things, instead of being kind for yourself, and yes, we can improve, and yes, we make mistakes, and yes, you can be angry with it, but mainly being compassionate and loving yourself and taking care of yourself in the first place is the best possible way to then also reflect it to all the others and inspire others to do so. And we so forget this. I mean, all of us. So
it's true.
Very true.
I love it. So it's about values, knowing your values, behaving according to those values, and then being an example as a leader and creating that safe environment. And indeed, that's what comes out from research as well. That's a safe environment creates high-performing teams.
Absolutely. It's so critical as a base, and it's so forgotten. And actually, so many companies are led by fear.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts from the very top. When I was younger, I thought, oh, it's the manager, and then it's the manager. Oh no, but it's the directors and the management team, and oh no, it's not the management team, it's the board, and but it's actually the shareholder. So we promise X% of profit to the shareholders. So we are in fear that we might not deliver that. So the board is in fear. So they cascade it down to have command and control to make sure that we deliver the profit. And then it cascades down into layers and layers and more hierarchies. And people are afraid to not deliver. Mm-hmm. People are afraid to make mistakes. People are afraid to speak up. People are afraid to be themselves. So, and actually there's a whole new language that has been developed. It's really business language. And so in companies, people can only bring their head anymore, the thinking. And And, you know, and the language has been developed, head, PowerPoints, Excels, you know, financial KPIs, but there is no place anymore for the heart, you know, and actually the heart needs to be closed off. And if you dare to talk about emotions, or you get ridiculed, you're not serious, you're I don't know, there's no emotional language anymore. And so actually people, even their dress code, people dress up in gray, they go to with a gray suit, you know, yeah. So so you go to work with a very reduced version of yourself.
Especially in hybrid or remote work, it has even worsened. People are.
Yeah, I don't know that. Is that, yeah? I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, because they open the virtual meeting and focused on business. Well,
true.
The past, you would walk in the hallway, you would talk a little bit,
the coffee chat,
continue your conversation, and yes.
Yeah, true. I didn't think about that. So, but basically, you know, if you can create an environment where the head and the heart can speak, you know, and the larger the companies, I don't want to, you know, make final conclusions. There might be big companies that also are led by the heart, but typically the higher the structures, the hierarchies, there's, you know, there's much more thinking and no more feeling. And for me, you know, having moved from big corporates to then a smaller family business, it was like, oh, but this is led by the heart, you know. So and there is so much emotion. I wouldn't, it's only emotion, so much emotion. And so for me, that was also, very interesting to see how differently can be led, and actually also successfully led in a different way. So, but the truth is, if there's a balance of both, and the head and the heart, and we don't close it off, we're the same person at work or at home, you know, because the gray suit closes it off at work, then goes home, and it's the most loving partner, most loving neighbor who makes pancakes or who helps, you know, the local football players with what. So, but it's still the same person. But unfortunately, on Monday morning, you go back to work, close off the heart.
You shut down your emotions.
Exactly. And so, so if I can help to contribute and create an environment where people can be just you in your full you, and where there's place for head and heart, but also in meetings, you know, also talk about how are you feeling, but how are you really feeling?
Yeah, exactly.
Not
and
just
being ready to accept the answer and not just good.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yes.
And if it's not good, be honest about it. I would too. I would do too, you know? So, but so we've lost a bit of that balance and that humanity. But I'm sure the more we see winning companies, the more we do research like you do, it will become more and more clear that actually winning companies do exactly that.
Yes. And I like to say, you know, we used to work with our hands, and then we started working with our heads.
Yes.
And now it's working with our hearts.
Yeah.
And the fear in organizations that we see, there is a lot of fear in organizations, but it all comes down to the fear that people and especially leaders have in themselves.
Yeah, but so true. So true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Will I be able to deliver that result? Or will I, you know, am I a good manager? Or I don't know what goes into there.
Yeah. Am I respected? Am I good enough?
Yeah.
If I say no, maybe people will think I can't handle things.
Yeah. Or they might not like me, or it's like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
And so how did you transform over the years to become that kind of leader? Because I guess that's not what we learn in school. That's not what we learn in business school, not at all. So you probably had some shift somewhere that wasn't always easy.
Yeah, that's the least I can say. I think in every setback you have, you learn something new. And it's honestly been a life journey, you know, from when I was young, from when I was a child. up until now. And there's different phases where I learn different things. But again, because I want to try to understand, and look at the why. Why are things happening? Why am I reacting this way? Why is this happening with me or with my environment?
Yeah.
So it's driven by curiosity and driven by willingness to improve, to make myself a more complete person, a more complete, a better mom, a better wife, a better manager, a better friend. But there's definitely been big shifts in different moments of my life. And I guess the most recent one would be when I left my previous job at Duvel Moordgat. I really wanted to grow. And I've also realized I've been so lucky to have been born in this country by my parents who had the means to give me education, I had the possibility to go abroad with the husband I met, etc. So I've been so bloody lucky that, I became 45 and I really decided I want to give back, So I've done 25 years or 20 years of Western capitalistic learning a lot, doing great business, having great results, but I really wanted to give back to society. And so I was very clear what my parameters were, for my next job. And actually, I involved my children in that process because I wanted my children also to know it's not always rosy for mom, or it's not always successful. Mom is sometimes in shitty moments as well. And so I asked them, so because I've contributed to more, so selling more Coca-Cola, selling more, deodorant, selling more. Yeah. But of course, that's not sustainable, because for the planet and for the people. And so instead of going for more, I learned through Duvel, and thanks to Duvel, it's about going for better, going for quality and not for quantity, or creating value, not volume. And so I asked my children, and I asked them, what if I would sell more of it, it would still make the planet better? So which is, and so they were brainstorming and they said, oh yes, mom, what about more yoga weekend, more yoga, or what about more veggie burgers, or what about more cycling holidays? And my son at the moment, he said, yes, mom, what about more jobs for Syrian refugees? But that was only a seed. I mean, I would never have thought about jobs, And then I met, all by coincidence, I met Connie van den Driessen. And she wanted to offer me this job. And it was like, okay, so that's not a place where I would have imagined, myself, because I have a fast moving consumer goods background. So now I'm in services, and now I'm about unlocking potential of people. But that was very much a very centered process where I very much consciously was looking for, okay, I want to grow further. I want to contribute. I want to make an impact in this world, but in a different way. And
it's
and
funny.
here I am.
I went through a similar process because I worked at Procter & Gamble and then in pharmaceuticals, but over the counter. And at some point I thought, I don't want to sell more.
No.
What could I sell more of? That's
seriously
a better planet. And I ended up starting in an educational publishing company. And I thought, well, school books, that's great. If I sell more, it's better for
exactly
the
sharing
people.
Knowledge in the world.
Yes.
Absolutely. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Yeah, so you also told me that you studied Chinese medicine. Mm-hmm. So what's the link? How did you start studying Chinese medicine? And do you use it also as a CEO?
Yeah. Oh, that's a funny question. Indeed. So when I was working for Coca-Cola, I've lived abroad for 10 years. And 3 of those years I've lived in Sydney. And I was responsible for all new beverages, tea-based beverages, waters and teas. And so we had bought Coca-Cola. So we had bought a company in Hong Kong based on traditional Chinese medicine. So to make beverages based on traditional Chinese medicine. And so I remember I was sitting on the ferry, beautiful sun, you go home by the boat in 10 minutes in the sun in Sydney, instead of 1 hour in the tube in London with the dark and smelly gases. So life can be very beautiful. And so I started to read about traditional Chinese medicine, and it was the very first time I had that fundamental aha, like, oh my God, this is the first time that left brain, right brain, yin and yang, art and science, seasons, nature, it all came together. And that was an epiphany. That was such a special moment. Actually, the first time in my life I had something that so clicked. And I started, to discover. I developed beverages, and I started to practice as a patient, because you go to the doctor before you get sick, not
Yes.
when you're sick. So it's a totally different way of managing and thinking. And actually, that hobby became, or that passion became very much a hobby. And I started reading, and then when I turned 40, midlife crisis, I lost 2 friends of mine. And on one of their funerals, it was like, oh, when he would turn 40, he would have chosen for more X and Y and Z.
Yeah.
And so I came home to my husband and I said, you need to promise me, and I will promise you on both of our funerals, we never want to hear anyone say this. And so it was always my dream, when I, stopped my career, to go and learn traditional Chinese medicine. It's university. It's 7 years plus 14. You can do much more, but it's university studies. And so I wanted to go to Beijing for 7 years to learn it, and then spread that wisdom into the world. And then I realized that maybe there is no tomorrow. And then I decided, okay, I'll start the studies now. And I started to study them in Belgium. So I was sitting there with doctors and kinesists and, and physiotherapists and nurses. So I was the only commercial engineer who was a CEO. But it's all about energy, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And food is medicine. And so the way I look at a company now, and the way I look at an environment now, the way I look at people and their performance, I still have all my old tools, and I can still use them very well, but I look through a very different lens at the same things, and I see so much more. And in the end, it is about unlocking that potential and unlocking energy. And if you think about those unstoppable companies, that one innovation after the other, I mean, the energy is flowing, and they create huge results, and they unlock the genius inside, because people are in the flow, people have no fear, there's a lot of love, and there's super results. And so it's a fantastic enrichment in my life. And my whole family, we all go to a Chinese doctor preventatively. And I also have herbs at home where I do just for my family, because I'm not officially allowed to subscribe anything for anyone because I'm not a doctor, but I do have my diploma. But it's very much a passion of mine.
Yeah, no, I love that, because I also realized at some point that my energy is what makes the whole difference. It was as a CEO, and it's now as an entrepreneur. And so every time I can feel, okay, my energy is not good now.
Yeah.
instead of, it's also when you attract situations that are not great. So instead of continuing in that energy and trying to fix things, I know that I have to stop and manage my energy to feel again with a higher vibration. And that's when I have great thoughts again and start attracting great things again.
So true. And the funny thing is, everyone can feel it.
Yes.
You know, if you enter a reception of a company, the energy and the vibe, same with love, you know, go to any shop or any baker or any pub, you know, people can feel, or a family, you can feel where there's love and no love. But it's, it's not in our language, or it's not, but everyone can notice it, but actually we don't realize it because we're not conscious enough of the energy that is flowing.
Yeah. And again, what we see now in a lot of organizations is that there is a lot of trapped
the energy is stuck. It's stuck.
And also in people, like,
of course,
because we don't feel anymore. We only think that energy is there, but it's negative energy, and it's
absolutely, and fear, which lowers the energy and blocks it. So absolutely.
So wonderful. And so your colleagues accept all that also?
I don't go into the details, you know, it's for me just a handy extra perspective that I have personally. For those who want, you know, that are intrigued, of course, they ask and they know. So I was also giving more and more lectures as well. But then COVID came in lockdown. And then, of course, with my new job, I wanted to focus first on my job, which was already an overwhelming, you know, challenge in COVID times to, you know, to run a new company from your desktop.
Yes.
Basically. So I've put my other passion a little bit on hold for now, but actually I use it every day, but not in a verbal way, you know.
Yes.
So, but every time I can, decompose what is making that there is a challenging situation or where it's not flowing. I get to the root cause, and once you unlock that, and so for the moment we have again record high numbers, so it's just phenomenal to see that the company is doing great, and and so but it's just an extra toolbox, but it's not one that I'm for those who are interested, I will explain, but otherwise I just give snapshots of wisdom whenever I can, you know, whenever I notice something. But
and what I like is, like you say, it's not opposable. It's not you do one or the other. No. I also love to just embrace like the traditional things we've used, the research.
Exactly.
And a little bit of spirituality, because that makes the mix also beautiful and wonderful.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great.
Really well.
Great. So, and this podcast is called Rebel Leader with a Heart. So what would you say? We've talked a lot about the heart. What would you say is your rebel side?
Oh, well, first of all, I'm with Accent, we are all happy rebels. So the House of HR, it's literally, we are happy rebels. So if you're not a rebel, you don't enter the house, actually. So I passed that test. And one of the other values at Accent, so one was already be a friend. The other one is go pro. So we really want to improve constantly and make things better and be professional. And the last one is stay gutsy. Mm-hmm. So taking risks and doing crazy things and pioneer and do things that nobody has ever done before. And so we party a lot. We dress up for it. So there's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of craziness actually again in the DNA of the company. So it's not a coincidence I got attracted by it, or they got attracted by me. So so the rebellious side is, I mean, I never want to follow. You know, if you follow, you're not discovering new things. So I just love to discover new things, try new things, curiosity, ask questions, and be creative with it as well. If you see patterns, and then but flip it on the other side, and so come with a totally different solution to the same problem, or look at the same problem in a very different way. So yeah, I mean, more to come for sure when you see what we are going to do with Accent. But one of the, it's not crazy, so I might not now disappoint you, but a total new thing that we've just decided to do is actually invest in education. So because talent is everywhere, there is an abundance of talent. There's no shortage. There is an abundance of talent, but we need to train them.
And unlock
they might not have the right skills to match, so we've decided, instead of being hopeless and complaining about what we can't find or what is not available, well, we want to try to come with a solution ourselves, and so we've just bought 2 companies actually in education, where if we see the talent, and we train for the skill, so education is the new recruitment, actually. Mm-hmm. So it's just
lifelong learning. Learning.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's again a different way to look at a problem and come with a new solution. So I don't know yet how successful we will be. That time will tell. But for sure, we want to pioneer constantly and try new things. So
wonderful. So it was a really nice conversation. At some points, I thought maybe you could teach my course, because you said a lot of things that I teach.
Seriously.
So you apply them. So that's wonderful.
Oh, well.
So congratulations. And I'm sure you really deserve the Greatest Place to Work award.
Oh, well, thank you for doing the academics and for, taking the time to share this knowledge in a broader way. So because you do this out of passion as well. So so thank you for giving the platform.
Thank you. Yeah, I really believe that if we manage to change leadership, it has an impact on a lot of people, and at the end on our planet.
So true.
Especially if you manage to connect people to their heart again instead of their fears. That's when great things happen.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And actually, before I was always thinking, I want to change the world. I want to change the world, and I would take all my energy to try and change the world. And what I've come to realize is I don't need to change the world. If you change yourself, if you change yourself, as a consequence, all the other things will follow.
Yes.
And so that's the same now with my leadership team, because we want to go through a transformation. And it's like, instead of saying, and how are we going to design? And no. We're going, into the woods. We transform ourselves, and the rest will follow. Mm-hmm. So that's when true change happens. It's actually because you change.
Yes, and it's going into the being. It's not about doing, having, knowing more. Exactly. It's about being again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So great.
Thank you for your wise words.
Thank you. It was really great having you here.
Thank you so much, Muriel.
Yeah, you finished another episode of Rebel Leader with a Heart. If you want more, go to rebelleaderwithaheart.com for show notes and past episodes. If you love the show, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. The more, the merrier. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great week, you Rebel Leader with a Heart.